Captain Lee, you find out that James and Elizabeth had spent a night in a guest cabin.
Elizabeth and James slept in a guest cabin.
That's a no-no. If they had asked permission, I'm fine with it. But only, I mean, if you're going to give somebody an extra perk, you do it because they're doing an outstanding job for you. Because they've earned it. They deserve it. They deserve a little pat on the back, a little something, something. But you just don't take it upon yourself to arbitrarily go like, oh, I think I'm just going to use the guest cabin. Only going to say this once. You sleep in a guest cabin again without asking, you can pack your and leave.
Yes, thank you, Captain.
That's a major up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Got it.
Thank you.
It's one of those things you got to weigh up the risk and reward. You know, I had a great night's sleep. I had a guest cabin to myself. It was a load of fun. And now, was it worth doing that if it just meant I got brought into Captain Lee's office or room, whatever you call it, and then he just gives me a stern talking to for 40, 50 seconds? It was worth it. I'd have done it again if I wouldn't have lost my job. Like, if I was going to lose, if he said, do it again, you're going to lose your job, which he did, then I wouldn't do it again. But, you know, it's definitely worth the risk.
You don't sit there arbitrarily decide you're going to make more work for the interior and dirty up a bunch of laundry and dirty up one of the guest heads just because, I don't know. But I mean, he's been dying to get laid since he got here. James and Elizabeth, neither one of them have done anything that even resembles close to being an attaboy. They just haven't. It's non-existent. Yeah, they way overstepped collectively, way overstepped their boundaries. If that had happened first early on, they'd have both been toast.
I might have gone about it a little different way. I mean, if I had gone, I probably would have gone to them first and been like, absolutely inappropriate. Both of you are going to be cleaning this room up, making sure it's perfect. And then she should have come and talked to me about it also. And then we could have dealt with both of them individually within our team. But if they had given any inkling of disrespect or flippancy and whatsoever, then I would have absolutely talked to Captain Lee about it. But also I understand why Francesca did go and talk to Captain Lee, because she was at her wit's end with Elizabeth. I mean, she didn't know what else to do, and this is kind of a last straw for her, and I get that. So, but I mean, for me and James, like, I wasn't at my wit's end with James. James, while he is difficult at times, he could get the job done. And, you know, you just have to kind of nudge him along a little bit.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, Eddie. Ches really has, she was in a difficult situation because, one, she's going to be faced with, you know, potentially disciplining somebody out of her department, which I can understand why she would have reservations about that. I can see where Ches wanted to, you know, err on the side of caution, but not raise the issue of trying to discipline somebody outside of her department.
I don't want to work on this yacht with her.
Can't promise that we can get somebody in here because it's late in the season. I can try.
All right. As soon as we can get someone, yeah, I'd like to let her go.
Captain Lee and I got to a point where, you know, he's seen me work throughout the season. You know, he said some really nice things to me and supportive things to me, and he had my back then, which was really good because in my position, then I had proved to him that I can, you know, be a apprentice to and be a great leader, and it was just like a relief for me.
Did you think your job was in jeopardy at that point, or like how did you think Francesca was going to react?
Yes. I wanted to, the first thing I wanted to do was talk to Captain Lee and get to him and talk to him about that before she did. And just really, and that time talking to Captain Lee, I was really going to let him know, like, look, this is what's been going on. I haven't been vocal about it. You know, I don't believe that anything that I'm doing work-wise is really jeopardizing the functionality and success of our charters, you know. And then that morning, it was just so busy, and I didn't get a chance to speak with him about what happened. So I feel like I never really got to let him know what was going on and how I felt like that incident, you know, would never happen again. And still nobody even knows what went on in that guest cabin, I like to say. I mean, who knows? We just wanted a place to talk. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's anyone's business insinuating anything, you know?
Yeah.
So when Francesca and Elizabeth have this kind of, big argument about the guest cabin night, you're
so
there.
Dramatic. So dramatic.
Did you sleep in the cabin?
Yeah, but I was up.
No, not yeah, but. Is it a yes or a no you slept in the guest cabin?
We were in the cabin.
Did you sleep in the cabin?
I wouldn't say it was like...
Yes or no?
Yes, I was sitting on the
Take
bed.
accountability for what you did.
I will ask you next time. I'm sorry.
And it's not going to be a next time.
Okay.
Literally, Francesca just comes like, it's like Cruella DeVille just like floating into the room, just like, I'm sick of you. I'm so sick of you. I was loving it. I mean, I felt bad for Elizabeth, obviously. And I was kind of just thinking, like, to Francesca, what kind of leader literally comes and, like, verbally abuses and, like, accosts their staff member? Like, shouldn't you pull her aside, have a meeting, like, be professional about it instead of being, like, dramatic as I mean, I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong. It was great to watch. Probably not how the meeting should have been done. But yeah, I was just sitting there just like eating my food, just like dinner and a show, and I didn't even have to pay for it.
I honestly thought that, no, of course you wouldn't sleep in a guest cabin. That is
I didn't
completely,
sleep in the guest cabin.
But you were
We
there
were in a
until
guest
6:30 in the morning. And I don't want you guys having sex.
Talking about
I don't want, well, you're the one that's bringing it into the yacht. You're the one that's bringing it into the workplace.
I'm not.
You are. You were in a guest cabin last night.
3 weeks on
Kept a cool. Stop interrupting me. What is wrong with you?
Sleeping in a guest cabin, man, especially, and her excuse was like, oh, we had no sheets. I'm like, that's even worse.
It's even worse.
And you're sleeping on a $10,000 mattress. Where is the sense in that?
Came out of nowhere. This was our free time. This was in the evening. This is when we're winding down. There are no guests on. There were other crew members in the crew mess, and just the way that she came at me and her condescending tone of voice, it was just completely unprofessional, and I don't feel like I deserve that.
Yeah, sure, it's the interior area. It's fine for us to be in there. She didn't get approval, because I've had crew members come to me before in the past and sleep in a guest cabin for whatever reason. It's whether the boat's been taken up by contractors and there are not enough beds and crew need to sleep elsewhere and things like that. That's totally fine as long as it's like done the right way. But what happens if James breaks something? What happens if a lamp falls on the floor? Then we need to explain that to the owner. I never want to get heated in arguments. I need to address situations and try and solve the problem. But I think I'd gotten to a point where I was completely just fed up with her. I was fed up with her attitude. I was fed up with her work ethic. She was just another body on the boat. She wasn't actually doing any help to mine. And maybe she was doing a little bit of help. It was really hard. And then she doesn't listen. She's talking back to me. She's firing at me. She's not actually taking responsibility for her actions.
Like, we're your boss. I'm talking to you. You need to listen. If Captain Lee is reprimanding me about something, which he has done many times, and I deserved it, what do? You don't talk back. You don't get all uppity about your feelings, about how you see things. No. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Not in yachting, not in the maritime industry in general.
James, were you also worried about getting yelled at by Francesca?
I kept thinking is, she's not part of my department, so anything she has to say has to go towards Eddie. So it never really bothered me that much. It's not like she was my boss and she was going to on me. So I wasn't really that arsed if I pissed her off at any point. Because she can't go to Captain Lee and say, oh, James isn't pulling his weight, because she has nothing to do with my department.
Yeah. I feel like, Eddie probably would have been like, well,
I think Eddie was happy, to be fair, that I managed to give Izzy a night of sleep, and then obviously I could go do whatever I needed to do. So I think Eddie was on our side for that.
The crew uses everything on the outside. We use the Sky Lounge. We use the bridge deck aft. We sit on the settees. That's just something that's like kind of like a common, when guests aren't on board, that's like a common area. But then when it comes to interior, that is guest space, and which is why it's called a guest cabin. And so, James, as a deckhand, should have known better. You don't mess with the interior.
James, did you feel like, was there any part of you that was like, maybe I should go out there?
There was a small part of me that, like we were saying before, just wanted to stir the pot, just go, yeah, and she didn't clean the sheets either. Like, she held something in. I would have just thrown something in just to try and wind them up. That would have been funny. But then at the same time, they would have come in and like brought me out. So no, that would be brilliant. You can just imagine how the conversation would have gone if it wasn't Liz and it was Aisling instead. It would have been completely different.
So different. Yeah, if it was Aisling, I don't think actually Francesca would have said anything. I don't even think she would have texted her and been like, hey, listen, it's not okay. Like if she didn't want to have that conversation on camera. She just really hated Elizabeth.
Francesca, you seem to have a little bit of a miscommunication with Rachel in the galley. It's the first lunch service over the MAHI-MAHI orders.
Yeah, it was just like writing down, what it's been. And then I make sure I transferred that information to a nicer piece of paper, legible for Rachel. And I think she got that side mixed up.
Your notes were correct. Rachel was incorrect with what she'd plated.
The food's coming up now.
4 mahis, she said 3. I swear, mother lie.
The one thing I asked for is communication.
Lamb chops for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You were after lamb chops?
Thank you.
Or the mahi-mahi?
I had the mahi-mahi.
You had the mahi-mahi, so we need one more mahi-mahi.
We're on a charter. It's all happening. It's all happening at once. We're only human. It happens. Miss Seagull never said anything. Like she just kind of like went, oh, okay, well, I'm blessed I'm having lamb. And then halfway through, didn't she say, hang on a minute, I ordered fish.
Yeah, exactly.
The missus wanted mahi-mahi?
Okay. Mrs. had mahi-mahi, correct? 4 mahis total. Yeah, no, it's 5.
So we've gone back down. You've cross-checked with me, and I'm like, well, I don't know, but I'll go and have a look. I'll go get the piece of paper that's down in the galley. And we compared.
Yeah.
But she was incorrect. She made too many meat, like too many lamb dishes as opposed to fish. She kind of flipped it around.
So here, Nita Janessa, mahi-mahi, David mahi-mahi, Daniel mahi-mahi, Mrs. mahi-mahi.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 2 orders, fish on the same one.
Okay, I don't want to argue about this. So next time, we can...
We're just going to take their faces and write down on the thing. It's just easier.
I tried to communicate as much as possible and as best as possible to her. I think that her attitude needs to change a little bit towards me. But I think that communication, I think she did say to me once, let me know, when they're halfway done, when they're finished, when they, on the radio, all this, as much information as possible. And I took that on board straight away. And I was like, okay, great. I need to do this more on the radio for her. There were times when it was testing and difficult, but, that just like, sometimes it just doesn't run like clockwork like you'd like it to. I can just imagine Rachel like just going to town, talking about me.
I would love to work at Denny's with Francesca. This would be my favorite moment in life, is to work at a diner with Francesca. And then somebody run those food orders as well to make sure they get to the right people. This is the quintessential end of the line for me. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Service. Stupid Francesca!
Oh my God. I never actually heard her say that, but I can just imagine it, that she was talking about me like that way. And then it was her stuff up, and she never apologized, I don't think.
No.
She was also another person that didn't really take responsibility for her actions and didn't realize that it affected other people.
I think Captain Lee came out and was like, what's going on?
Francesca and Rachel, yeah, they're having a communication gap. How's things?
I'm not happy, Captain. I need to have a meeting after this about service.
We had a bit of trouble with the missus not getting her mahi-mahi.
So a communication issue, maybe?
Well, I wrote it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and only 4 came up.
My thought process at the time was, y'all should be talking to each other instead of me.
What an amazing idea.
What a concept.
What a concept, man. Brilliant.
I mean, that's what they should have been. They should have been chatting with each other instead of me. And then I had to try and figure out, okay, how do I get them back on the same page? Because they were both on a really, really good page. And I think that's one of the things that was a product of the fallout from some of the extracurricular activities that happened where the light switch would get flipped with Rage.
Get off the stage.
Rachel, we have to get you off the stage.
I could definitely pick up on a little bit of resentment going on between the two of them. What it seemed to be, at least, was that the resentment that was created between the two was all due to lack of communication in the first part. I mean, there was lack of communication that then bred resentment, which then created even more lack of communication. And so it was this kind of just terrible cycle that
snowball.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Izzy, after you become lead deckhand, we see you get a little frustrated with the comments Rob makes towards you.
There was like certain moments, like there was one moment when we were putting the jet skis away and there was like rollers coming through and the jet ski was bashing up against the boat and he was sitting on it and I was like, I'll just jump off. And he was like, you can say please.
All right, let's go forward. Get out, boy.
It's a magic word.
Do you want to lose your leg if I let go? There we go.
She's got rude today.
I don't think I said it in a particularly like, get the off now kind of way. But like if James or Eddie had have said that, he wouldn't have said the same thing. Or we were putting like the swim platform, like the inflatable one, and we were just pushing it up over the jet skis. And I was like, oh, can you give it a pull or something like that, or give it a pull? And he was like, it's not a bad thing to use the word please.
Pull it more that way.
A little courtesy goes a long way.
And I was just like, it's kind of unnecessary to say that. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe he thought it was fun to give me a hard time. I'm not really sure. But I just think a lot of the stuff he said, he wouldn't have said if it was James. And like, you know, I'm fine with like a bit of fun and like banter, like giving someone when they're in a leadership position when it's like fun, but it wasn't. And I think I made it aware that it wasn't that way and it still continued.
Are you also going to act like a real petulant twat about me getting lead deckhand, or is it just going to be Rob? Because I'd expect better from my roommate.
No, we're only kidding, don't you?
Yeah, but still, like, it doesn't help.
As far as her being promoted to lead deckhand, it didn't really change my job in any way, so I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I was just happy that she got the position. You know, I was happy for her.
I do have to ask about one comment you make, Rob, to Izzy specifically.
Oh, here we go.
You do say to Izzy, Izzy, it's not like you just got promoted to captain, you just got promoted to lead chamois.
Oh, well said.
Do you guys even care that I got lead deckhand? Because I felt like this morning everyone was a bit like tense and weird about it.
Izzy, it's not like you just got promoted to captain. You just got promoted to lead chamois.
Well, I do have a fractured rib, and it did move when I laughed hard there. But it seems unfair that I would put that added pressure on Izzy by saying something that was derogatory to her new position in any way whatsoever, because she is a hard worker and she does take what she does seriously. But in the seriousness that she's added to her job and her personality surrounding her job, she's left room for us to take the piss. And we might have done that a little bit.
When he said that comment, I didn't, like, at the time, I didn't really, like, think anything of it because I was so, like, sad. I was like, yeah, I'm just lead chamois. But then kind of looking back on it and with all the other things that he had said, I'm kind of like, you're a dick. That's just not a nice thing to say.
Captain Lee, Elizabeth is FaceTiming with her energy healer, and you actually come onto the boat and you see her doing this.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there any way you can give a little, like, healing virtually?
That would be wonderful. Today we lift away all first, second, third, fourth dimensional gray, black, dark matter that we may have created and passed on generationally or through past lives.
That's a head shaker again. It just is. It's like, seriously?
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. I just spoke to my energy healer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need healing from? I feel like Cher and Nicolas Cage and Moonstruck. Get a grip. Snap out of it. Oh my God.
Do your job.
Yeah.
Did you notice Elizabeth doing a lot of these sorts of things during the season?
I didn't notice it the first half of the season, but I after listening to her, it's like, wow, where's all that come from? And I don't know. To me, that seems to be admitting defeat when I need a spiritual healer. I just can't cope with all of this. No, I'm not buying it. We've got 9 charters to do. Let's knock them out, do the best we can do, go home with a bunch of money in our pocket. And then guess what? You could probably afford to go see your spiritual healer in person. You won't have to FaceTime his ass. I'm more of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy. Let's just roll our shirt sleeves up and get our deal done, because that's what we're getting paid to do.
So Izzy, we see you make a cake for Elizabeth's birthday and you call it fairy bread. What is fairy bread?
Should we go and make a fairy bread cake or something?
Yeah.
So you get a piece of really cheap bread, like the cheapest bread loaf you can find from the supermarket, preferably less than $1. And then you get butter and you lather the butter on, and then you get hundreds and thousands of sprinkles, like hundreds and thousands of sprinkles. And then you like put it all over the bread and you dap it in there, and it makes like this colorful rainbow bread. But then if you want to go next level and make it look like this, fantastic, magical unicorn, then you stack it on top of each other and you get Hershey's chocolate sauce, and you put that all over it and you have yourself a fairy bread cake. But yeah, fairy bread is a staple in Australia growing up. Like any party, like you have fairy bread. And even at the moment, like if I'm just having a day where I'm like, oh, I want to be like cheered up, then I'll make myself fairy bread. It's great. It's delicious. I think everyone thinks it looks gross, but it's great.
When we see you serve that to Elizabeth for her birthday, James, it doesn't seem like you like the fairy bread cake very much.
We made something incredibly for you.
Happy birthday! This is the best cake I could have asked for.
It's like a trailer park birthday cake.
Guys, I really appreciate this.
Okay, now it feels sick.
No, I think we overdid it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been more delicious. I mean, it's one of those less is more situations. So I think it would have been more delicious if we just like had like the bread and the butter and like the sprinkles. But when we added that like gross Hershey's chocolate sauce on, yeah, we probably overdid it. But I mean, it looked cute. It was cute. It was a nice sentiment. It's a thought that counts.
We hear about Elizabeth and James spending a night in a guest cabin.
Yes, I'm a naughty boy.
Ash, it seems like you are kind of one of the first people to hear about this.
I bunk with Elizabeth and Izzy bunks with Jane. So obviously, if someone's not returning back to their cabin after their duty, where else are they? I guess cabin. So we kind of put 2 and 2 together and we were like, oh, it's definitely gone down. Let's go confront them. So we both did. And yep, what do you know? Truth comes out sooner or later.
But I soaked my body up as well.
That's so disturbing.
It's not.
Did you use the VIP? Did you take the king bed? My cabin was really lonely and quiet.
Oh, so they went in the cabin.
Get everything wet.
I've seen past seasons on the show, so I know that's happened. I've worked on boats where that's happened, and we were off charter. Looking back, knowing Francesca, yeah, I should have asked permission just because I know the way she is. But I think at the time, I had lost all respect for her by the way that I felt I was being treated. So that was not my priority to ask her, to be honest. And yeah, I did take it into my own understanding to think that was okay, because it's always been okay. But that would have been naive it was naive to not consider how she would have reacted.
What's happening?
James didn't sleep in his cabin, neither did she.
My God, you've got to be joking. She f***ing slept in your guest cabin.
It was the smartest move. You know, you've already got the chief stew on your bum the whole time, like biting at you. To then go and like bang in a guest cabin without asking her wasn't a particularly smart move, I must say.
It is a no-no, and you're not supposed to do anything like that in a guest cabin. We're not even supposed to be in guest cabins after like crew hours, period. So that's a no-no. And I just think one of the times that you and I actually fought was when I said to you, I think that you're giving her that leverage to go after you, and you shouldn't have done it. Not saying I told you so.
Right.
But I'm saying I told you so. I love you.
Yeah.
But
No, I think that's like something that I get it. I mean, I think I get carried away in the romances.
I know you did.
I guess I had to learn my lesson in front of all these people.
We belong to a club that nobody wants to belong to. And there's absolutely nothing anybody can do about it. It's something that all too many people are going through today. That's unfortunate.